Get your hands off me. That's what I said, quiet, steady, while a security guard at Harbor City International twisted my wrist like I was shoplifting a sunset. His name tag said Malloy the L's, like little batons. Step aside, ma'am. First class is for first-class passengers, he said, looking me up and down like denim was a crime. I could have ended it right there. Muscle memory's a funny thing, 2 seconds a pivot, and he'd be staring at the ceiling tiles. But I've learned some fights aren't worth winning in the moment. So I breathed, counted to 3, and then the gate speakers cracked like thunder. Attention at gate B14, medical emergency on flight 982. Captain unresponsive. If anyone on board has a military flight, experience identify yourself to the crew immediately. You know that feeling when a room inhales at the same time the whole area did that. Phones came up. The rich guy in the Navy suit smirked, and Malloy's grip tightened. Cute announcement, he said, but we both know you are not Colonel Jordan Hale, I told him, still calm. United States Air Force. Oh, call sign Sable. Let go before 289 people pay for your assumption. Everything slowed. The gate agent Lena went pale, then snapped to. Colonel, please this way. Malloy's hand vanished like it had never been there. The man in the suit let out a laugh he didn't finish. I've worn a lot of uniforms. That morning it was jeans, sneakers, a gray hoodie, my day off, my mother's birthday on the other coast, first time in months. I wasn't responsible for anything except getting home. Funny how God hears that and says, we'll see. The aisle of Flight 982 felt like a hallway in a bad dream. People whispering, kids with wide eyes, a storm smear on the windows. Up front, the co-pilot Evan Ruiz, barely older than my students, was trying to be 2 people at once, pilot and medic. The captain, Howard Kim, was on the floor, a flight attendant counting compressions. The weather radar looked like a bruise, and there in 1C the Navy suit stood up like he owned oxygen. Name's Gregory Lang, he told Evan, thrusting a hand he didn't take. 20 years flying with private pilots. I know these birds. Take her above the chop, 41,000 clean air up there. Sir, I said, stepping into the cockpit, that's how you snap a wing when you're heavy in convective shear. He pivoted on me, that smile sharp as a paper cut. And your qualification is? I didn't raise my voice. I never have to. Emergency descent checklist, autopilot, disengage, thrust, idle speed brakes as required rate, not to exceed structural limits, target 250 knots below 10. Then we thread the cells low with live weather. I pointed to the panel. You're reading a composite like it's God's final word. It isn't. Evan's shoulders dropped like someone took a piano off them. You know the A330 systems? No harder airplanes, I said, in worse storms with less time. I glanced at his hands, steady but fast, and then at the captain. What's the latest return of spontaneous circulation? The cardiologist in 3A called from the doorway. Dr. Priya Nair, eyes clear, voice all steel. But we're on borrowed minutes, Gregory barked, a laugh, brittle. We're gambling lives on a woman in a hoodie. I didn't look at him. First Officer Ruiz, I said, under Emergency Aviation Authority, request my assistance. He didn't hesitate. Colonel Hale, I'm requesting your assistance. Good, I told him, sliding into the right seat. Mr. Lang out. He hovered. Ego doesn't have landing gear. This is insane. I paid money, doesn't buy lift, I said. Move. He did, for a second anyway. We dropped the nose a hair, let the airplane feel it, not fight it. You can muscle a jet into a stall, or you can teach it to dance. Those are your choices in a sky like that. I keyed the radio. Harbor Control Flight 982 with medical emergency request, direct relay to Fort Rainier Air Base for real-time Doppler and satellite. The frequency shifted, a voice I knew coming in crisp. Sable, this is Rainier Ops. Good to hear you even on a bad day. We've got your return. What do you need? Map me a left-hand ribbon through the southern cells, 7 to 9,000. Give me the gaps, not the colors. We're flying the rhythm, not the picture. Gregory, back at the cockpit curtain, couldn't help himself. So now we're experimenting? I kept my hands light on the side stick, feeling for the invisible rails in the air. No, Mr. Lang, we're surviving. Big difference. There's a point in a storm where the airplane and your pulse sync, where you stop seeing red blotches and start hearing the beat, downdraft hold, crosswind, feed it updraft, take the gift. Evan watched, then started anticipating, then started smiling a little like he'd found a road he thought was gone. People think flying is thrust and angle. It's really humility and timing. Behind us, the cabin screamed in waves whenever we hit a pocket. You get used to that too, the sound of fear, like waves at night. I keyed the PA. Folks, Colonel Hale here. We're taking a route that's going to feel wrong and be right. You'll feel drops, some sharp, you'll hear the engines change pitch. It is all on purpose. Breathe with me, 4 and hold, 4 out, and trust the training that brought people home from worse than this. The cabin got quieter. Not silent, never silent, but less high-pitched, more human. Gregory's voice came softer now. Why are you so calm? Because panic eats the oxygen. I need to think, I said. And because a woman named Avery Torres once trusted me to fly a wounded crew through a sandstorm with one good engine and no nav. I didn't get to fall apart then either. Rainier Ops fed us a thread through the worst of it, the kind of corridor you only see when you've stared at weather until the colors start telling jokes. We dialed for 8,000, caught the smoother air under the anvils, and aimed for Harbor City runway 27 crosswind, the kind that wants to yank you off center line like a bully. At 2,000 feet, the airplane was bucking. The wipers losing the argument with sideways rain. We're coming in hot, I told Evan, 180 on approach. Spoilers, the nanosecond you feel mains, then full reverse. You good? He swallowed. I'm good. Tower, I said on the radio. We'll need a short roll stack, the trucks every 500 med team ready to pull a cardiac patient at the turnoff. Harbor Tower came back with a tremor they tried to hide. Runway 27 is yours, Colonel. All others are holding. Final approach. The runway lights were a shaky necklace in a black throat. You don't fight a crosswind at the end, you invite it to do you a favor. I slipped the nose into the teeth of it, wing low, feathering the yaw like a violinist who practiced the same sad song until it turned sweet. Evan called the heights, the alt bug chirped. The airplane, bless, her settled just where physics and prayer met. Mains, spoilers, reverse. It was loud, controlled violence, always is, but we decelerated like an idea you finally understand. Quick, clean, done. The cabin sound first, it's silence, the kind that checks whether it's allowed to breathe. Then the wave clapping, crying, someone laughing like they won a dare they never wanted. I let myself feel 1 second of heat behind my eyes, then I was back. Checklists, fuel hydraulics, human beings. The jet bridge hugged the door. Fire crews leaned into the rain. Medics slid a gurney past business class. Dr. Nair gave me a tiny nod. He's still with us, and I swear my bones got lighter. Security Chief Olivia Santos came on with an FBI agent at her shoulder. She looked like someone who'd just watched a replay she couldn't defend. Colonel Hale, she said, on behalf of the airport. I don't have the words. Try accountability, I told her. It fits almost everything. Agent Carver cleared his throat. The incident at B-14 is on 40 phones and our CCTV. Officer Malloy is in custody, and we're reviewing a pattern of complaints 7 in 2 years. Same officer, same assumptions. I didn't smile. I don't when people confuse public relations with justice. Make the pattern matter, I said. Not just the press release. Gregory Lang waited until the aisle was mostly clear. He looked like a man who'd shrunk out of his own suit. Colonel, he said, eyes wet in a way that wasn't for show. I was wrong. Not just about you, about what competence looks like. Who gets to have it? I let him stand in that for a second. Mr. Lang, I said eventually, the apology's for you. The work's for everyone else. Start there. 6 months later, I found myself in a hearing room that smelled like wax and history telling a row of senators something they already knew. Bias doesn't stay in the lobby. It walks right onto airplanes, into hospitals, onto factory floors, and it makes smart people stupid at the worst possible times. I laid out what should have been obvious: train for bias, like it can kill because it can track complaints for patterns, instead of pretending each one is a meteor, promote on performance, not comfort. Afterward, in the hallway, I ran into Evan Captain Ruiz now, tie crooked, smile easy. I hear you still hate ties, I told him. Only on days that end in Y, he grinned. You know they're teaching that approach we flew. They call it the sable thread. God help them, I said, and we both laughed, not because it was funny, but because we were still here too. I wish the story ended with everyone fixed. It doesn't. Officer Malloy pled to a lesser charge, Chief Santos kept her job, but changed her roster. Gregory sold his company and funds scholarships now, which helps some kids and absolves nothing. The captain made it months of rehab and a second chance he didn't waste. And me. I took one more assignment. I swore I didn't want standing in rooms telling this story and asking people who look like Gregory and people who look like me to hold the mirror a little longer than is comfortable. When strangers recognize me in airports, they always say the same thing. You were so calm. I never tell them this part, but I'll tell you my hands shook after. 5 minutes later in the restroom, locked stall forehead against cool metal. Then I wash my face and walk back out because that's what you do. You land the plane and then you live the life that landing made possible. So let me leave you with this. If you'd been at gate B14 that morning, watching a woman in a hoodie get handled like she didn't belong, would you have said something or filmed it for later? If you were in 1C, would you have yielded your certainty to someone who didn't fit your picture? Drop a comment. Tell me what you think is first class now. The ticket, the seat, or the person who shows up when it's storming sideways. And if you've ever seen bias make a smart room, stupid tell that story too, names change, lessons intact. Because the only way the next landing goes better is if we argue hard honest about what almost made this one fail.